Hi, hello, welcome, Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us, folks, as we rock and roll for another beautiful day. It is terrific Tuesday, and not too terrific going on in Baton Rouge. Is starting to see some weakening on the Republican Party. And you know, it's amazing. You go through all these special sessions and sessions, and you hold your own. You do the right thing. Doing the right thing takes courage. Doing the right thing takes a lot of courage. Compromising is really for the gutless when you don't need to compromise. There's times to compromise. I want you to understand what I'm saying. There are times to compromise. But compromising after you fought and you're winning the fight, the average person appreciates what the Republicans are trying to do by not growing government. The average person understands that if they'll follow it at all. The people wanting more and demanding more money. Every time we give them more, it's going to be that much more that we're going to have to give them. The solution has always been to change the habits on the spending side. It's the spending, stupid. I mean, Bill Clinton and them coined that phrase. James Carville, the man that has abused women and put all over the state of Louisiana, some great guy. He abused women, but back in that day it didn't matter. He was protecting Bill Clinton. They coined that phrase, the economy stupid. Well, guess what? It's the economy stupid. It's the spending stupid. It's the economy too. That's what blows my mind. Bel Edwards they running a commercial, him bragging about the economy, and the GDP numbers come out and they got us 51st, counting Washington, D.C. And another one comes out, got us 50th. And they keep saying, well, we got more people working now. Yeah, if there are more people working for minimum wage than we ever had. Wow, better boy, Bell. It's the economy stupid. Was a core phrase called, and it's the economy stupid, it's the spending stupid, and the two things that we ought to be working on, we're not. We're still going to keep spending, and we're still not going to give a dang about our companies and what's happening in the economy. And it blows my mind. We are so much better than this, and we're allowing lawmakers. We're going to know the gutless Republicans by name and district as soon as this session's over. We're going to know every one of the gutless Republicans. I mean, you got Stuart Bishop introducing a half-cent sales tax. And then it comes off, Brandon, after 2 years and 4 years and 6 years and 8 years. That's ridiculous. But, you know, Bishop never had to run against anybody. He was given the job when he ran, and nobody's ever run against him. He just does what he wants to do. It's people like that really concern me. It's amazing. We have a spending problem in this state. If spending was based, and I've heard Brett Guyman talk about this many times, if spending of government was based on what the economy was doing, we should be spending about $2 or $3 billion less, really. We got a GDP that's going down for 2 years, folks. You got to understand something. If the private sector is not producing anything and not producing wealth, they're not producing the taxes to stay up to date with what the extra spending that we do in the state government. This is such easy, common sense thinking. It's so easy, even Bel Edwards and Jay Dorn should understand this, but they don't. I mean, Mark Abraham ought to understand this, and he doesn't. I'm looking at this and just going, wow, what don't they understand? If you have a fallen economy, and Bel Edwards is telling people the economy's rolling because we got a record number of people working. We got a record number of people not looking for work, and we got a record number of people leaving the state. And we got a state that can't afford the government we have because we don't have an economy to carry it with us. That economy, that GDP and those numbers have to be growing for government to grow. It can't work the opposite, and that's why we're running into the problems. And so if you give them another half-cent sales tax, which, by the way, keeps us at the highest in the country. By the way, if they do the 0.4, which is ridiculous, and I even saw what Taylor Barra said he might can live with that, we're going to now be second in sales taxes in the whole country. I don't know what else to do, folks. I don't know why Republicans and people that vote for Republicans, for the most part, I'm involved in the group, why I'm voting for somebody who really is telling me an outright lie, not a white lie, an outright bona fide lie by telling me they're for less government and less taxes, and we got to find a way to stop the government from growing so much. And then when they go there, they vote totally opposite. If a Republican would run, I believe in raising taxes. Every time I get a chance to, I'm going to raise them. And you win, you ought to raise the hell out of the taxes. You really ought to. You ought to raise them but you're not running on that. Rob Shadwell, whatever you say his name, ain't run on that. Barry Ivey never ran on that. Julie Stokes never ran on that, or the Nancy Pelosi of our state. Couson didn't run on that. I could show you what he ran on. Raising taxes, y'all. Paige Cortez never ran on raising taxes. Never. Never. Mike Walsworth, Clutch never ran on raising taxes. Gerald Long, the stand-up guy, never ran on raising taxes. Never. Matter of fact, go look at his early commercials where he ran against, Taylor Townsend. Ran against Taylor Townsend. He talked about his dirty voting record. He never ran on raising taxes. None of them have in the Republican Party. How dare they go against the trust of the people? And here's our problem. Every one of these people that's raised a bunch of taxes and went along with Bel Edwards, if we would vote every one of those out and change all that mess out, we would never put up with that again. But they're going to have friends in high places and chamber types and big business people that are going to go out there and put money, and nobody's going to run against them because they can't raise the money to run against. So they stick their chests out. They're cocky, and they do what they want to do. I think Paige Cortez is a great example of that. Perfect example of what not to be. You know, Jim Big Lake Fannin, he got to change to a Republican. Why? Because he gets his butt beat as a Democrat. John Hilario's never sitting in the position he's in as he stayed as a Democrat. You understand? Somebody like Francis Thompson, I've picked on Francis for many years. He's a leftist liberal. Everybody knows that. He's voting for every tax, every fee. He's getting everything for his family, his friends, his brothers. He's getting everything for his lake. He's getting everything for Delhi. He's getting for everything. You need a job, go see Francis. That's who he is. Understand that. And he's in a district where he can lie to black voters and white country folks who may not be paying up to this. He can lie to them. He can tell them how great he's doing, tell them about the projects he's run, about he's destroying the economy. He's destroying the tax base. The tax base is our economy, folks. The tax base is people going to work. It's the private sector growing and growing and growing. Just like Brady, remember the story I did in Midland, Texas, and that mayor said, our sales tax is up 34%. It's hard to keep people working in government because they're going to work in the oil and gas industry because it's booming in Texas. And unlike Louisiana, where Bel Edwards and his lawsuit buddies are suing the hell out of us. And it don't matter what he says about the economy. Yeah, we'll have a few oil and gas jobs come back because the price gets up and it can't help itself. But it's not because the government is leading the charge to help us, I can promise you. By the way, I was reading in one article, of course, it was New Iberia Representative Terry Landry. Most people say we're already spending a penny. Why don't we keep the whole penny and solve the problem? That's the majority of emails and phones and calls I got. Of course, he's a liberal leftist Democrat with Bel Edwards. He said, oh, man, keep the whole penny. Let's keep the highest sales tax in the country. That's what Democrats are telling us. And the Democrats say we don't like sales taxes because they hurt the poor. And the Democrats are saying, Brandon, their constituents, who probably is who he represents, are told, keep the sales tax. You see the misinformation and the lies that go out there? The governor said many, many times, high sales tax is just not going to make it work. But see, they passed the earned income tax credit. Thank you, Mr. Couson, and thank you, Mr. Bishop. They couldn't have passed it without two fine Republicans stepping over the line, showing they mean business. I wonder what deals they got. Anything get cut out of their districts? Just kind of curious. But that's what they tell us. And then they got Terry Landry, a leftist Democrat. Oh, well, just keep the whole penny is what my people tell me. Well, I thought it hurt the poor. This is what happens, folks. Just watch them what they say and do. The hypocrisy on the left is phenomenal. The problem with the right, people on our side, we got some that are gutless, and they're normally Republicans. Okay, here we go. Bel Edwards, in this commercial they're running, which, by the way, is so many. I could dent it and beat it up so bad. But listen to this wonder man right here.
Earlier this month, a strong bipartisan majority of the legislature supported a compromise plan that would have funded health care, higher education, TOPS, and other critical priorities. That same plan would have reduced taxes by more than $500 million and cut $200 million in government spending. Unfortunately, a small group in the House of Representatives blocked its passage and pushed us to the edge of the fiscal cliff. Meanwhile, we're securing the biggest economic development deals in our state's history, and more people are working in Louisiana than ever before. Now is not the time to go back to the reckless budget practices of the previous
that you voted for.
We've been down that road before, and we know where it leads. It's time to invest in our future by funding critical priorities, cutting spending by $200 million, and giving working families a $500 million tax cut. All it takes is the courage to compromise and the desire to put Louisiana first.
Yes, do what we say. Grow the government. Let the economy continue to stagger. And this is what people want. He keeps naming one job he brought in while we've lost jobs and people aren't looking. I mean, this is a total bogus man. I'd hate that. If this guy didn't have the honor code, what the hell would he be like? They cut $200 million. If he cut $200 million, and nobody complained. They cut $645 million. You'd realize we didn't have a $2 billion budget deficit anyway. We weren't even close. And you know that because when you asked Jay Darden, who, by the way, his ship came in, he said we raised taxes $1.4 billion, and Aaron and Robert asked, well, how did you get to the $2 billion? Well, we cut $645 million off the budget. Nobody complained. Not one complaint. Not one protest. Not one hospital was mad. They didn't have one pep rally at a hospital. They didn't have a pep rally at a hospital. They didn't have a pep rally at a school. They didn't have a pep rally at a university. They didn't have a pep rally at a nursing home. No pep rallies. 600. Because it's all bald-faced lies. Okay, here's the Republican response last night to the session. Now, who is this lady right here, Brian?
This is Representative Paula Davis.
All right, Miss Paula Davis, listen to this.
Hi, this is Republican State Representative Paula Davis. You will hear in the media and from this administration that we are fighting over a small percentage of a penny and that it's not a big deal. What we're fighting over is much larger and more important than that. Over the last 2 years, our budget has grown by over $4 billion. The budget for the year we're in is the largest in the history of Louisiana. The governor's plan will grow state government by nearly $100 million additional dollars, creating the new largest budget in the history of our state next year and setting us up to be right back here again. Our fight isn't about Republican or Democrat or the next election. It's basic economics.
Yep.
We simply cannot continue to grow the size of government while we have the slowest economy in America.
Wow.
And while families and businesses are continuing to leave the state. The governor is right. We should work together to find compromise. In the last special session, Republicans offered a compromise plan that met the governor more than halfway. Hopefully this session, the governor will be willing to work with us for a compromise that funds our critical services, moves our state forward, and puts Louisiana taxpayers ahead of politics. Thank you for your time, and God bless the great state of Louisiana.
Now, folks, that was right. Everything there was right on the money. Largest budget ever in the history of the state. $4 billion. $4 billion higher than when he came in office. The largest budget ever. It's not enough. I want you to think about that. On a worst economy in the country. That's a shame, but it is. A GDP that's suffering. People are out migrating. And this guy's got the nerve to get on the TV and say, we're becoming the best, biggest economic development news. When? The one he keeps bragging about hadn't created one job yet. Not one. We don't know if that's coming because that's all over exaggerated. I'll tell you how bad it is. He mentioned about the previous governor's budgets. He voted for 6 of the 8 of them. And folks, that's what I meant. What this guy is shoving down our throat in the media, in the printed press, let me be specific, is shoving down our throat with the help of a TV station every now and then. It's all wrong. They're not even trying to get it right. They don't care that the oil and gas industry is suffering. Why, just go across the state into Texas and watch them boom. Because I was there this weekend. It was amazing. I was there for 3 days. Come over here, they suing the oil and gas industries. And by urging by the governor. There's no reality. If you're not going to deal in reality, you can't fix the problem, folks. If you broke your ankle, you can't clip your fingernails and the problem gets fixed. It can't do. Look at my fingernails are pretty. You got a broken ankle. You got to go find out why it's broken, how to heal it, where to fix it at. That's what we're not dealing in reality with Bel Edwards and Jay Darden and the press. We're not dealing in any reality at all. If you think that if the government could pull our economy along, then guess what? We ought to be in great shape because we've given plenty. This is what I don't understand by Republicans that got elected that would give in to Bel Edwards. Give in for what? You know, in an oil company, we hear these people may cut back on some jobs, have to cut back on services. Hell, oil companies fired everybody. People had to go get other jobs. Some of these people that are working that he's talking about, Brandon, didn't want to move. They've taken lesser jobs or started their own company. What do you think? We got less people. We got more people working now because of his policies. We got more people working in government maybe because of the Medicaid expansion. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Your comments are welcome. 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline. Be right back. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline if you'd like to be part of the program. Your opportunity to be a voice. All right, let's go to phone lines. Chris out of St. Martin Parish. How you doing, Chris?
Good in you, Moon.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Listen, Moon, I'm a parish councilman. I represent District 5 here in St. Martin Parish.
Yes, sir.
And I just want to point out a few things. First of all, I agree with what you're saying with what's going on in Baton Rouge and everything wholeheartedly. I listen to your show all the time. I'm a true conservative. I try to base all my votes and the things I do in my parish on conservative basis. But at the end of the day, speaking for my parish, I'm not speaking for everyone throughout the state, but I'm speaking on St. Martin Parish's behalf. At the end of the day, we're going to be losing. We're going to lose no matter what happens. I can give you a couple of situations that can explain why I can say this.
All right.
Years right now, the district attorney's office has come to us the last 3 years in a row to make up $1 million deficit that his criminal court fund can't support because he's run out of money in that fund. At one time, parish government used to have control of the criminal court fund. Legislators years ago decided that it should be the district attorney that should manage it and not the local government. So a bill was passed. It was taken away from local government. It was given to the district attorney's office. In St. Martin Parish, our
Can I ask you one question? Let me stop you a second because I want to ask you a question. When that happened, was that the request of the district attorneys to get that done, thinking they'll have a better chance to have more money? I'm just asking. Why did that happen? Because I'm not going to guarantee you, but I'm almost willing to bet you they said, look, we need to let the state take over so we can get more funding. Because if they did that, they screwed up. Not me and you.
Right.
They did.
And that's exactly what happened when it was done by the district attorney's request.
But hold on now. But now they're in trouble. They're in trouble, and the state's in big trouble financially. And we don't have the businesses to promote it. That's not the fault of the taxpayer. The taxpayers are getting hit for things that we didn't do.
But what I'm trying to explain is now the burden falls back on the taxpayers. Mm-hmm. Because what a lot of people don't understand is parish government. As parish government, we own the jail. The jail belongs to the parish government.
Yes, sir.
Every government building, the agriculture building, libraries, health units, everything. We pay the light bill, we pay the electric bill, we pay the water bill. We own those buildings, we maintain them. We're responsible for the prisoners that are in there, to clothe them, feed them, medicate them, nurse them, everything. Mm-hmm. The problem is that when the DA's office, that criminal court fund ran short, and there's a reason for it because we used to have a lot of drug trafficking on Interstate 10, and we don't have it anymore because it's detoured to I-20, they tell them. Mm-hmm. So, but here's what happens. When they come to us, we federally mandated to fund those officers, so we have to come up with extra money to fund them.
Okay, stop right there.
About a week or two ago, we got an email from the district attorney's office saying that he won't be able to complete this year's budget if these cuts are made so he's asking for the three parishes, St. Martin, Iberia, and St. Mary, to make up $800,000 for his office. On his behalf, he's the third district attorney we've had since the criminal court fund changed hands and all.
Yes, sir.
But in Bo's defense, we are federally mandated to have to make up that money. Okay. And the reason I'm saying this is because we're going to have to pay for it one way or another. So that's money that we're going to take away from the taxpayers back because it's just not there anymore.
Okay, Chris. By the way, no argument with anything you said, but I want to throw a few things at you. Only because Only because I know you're thinking through the process, and I understand that. Okay. I get very mad when it keeps falling back on taxpayers, and that's all we do in this state. We burn the taxpayers for everything. Number two, you mentioned mandated by the federal government. I have no argument, but if you listen to my program, you notice what I said. I'm mandated to death. I'm mandated in the sales tax. I'm mandated in a property tax. I'm mandated in a road tax. I'm mandated on a homeowner's insurance. I'm mandated on flood insurance now. I'm mandated on a lot of things just like they are. Here's the difference. I can't go get money from somewhere else. I can't go to the taxpayer and help me out. And that's what I'm saying. All these mandates, you and me are mandated personally in businesses more than the government's mandate. But every time the government's mandate, we pay for it. And guess who pays for everything we're mandated on? We do. And we don't have the economy to fund this stuff anymore. That's all I'm saying. What you're saying, I'm not arguing with anything you said. But man, when do we get a break? I guess that's where I'm putting. Where do we get a break?
But this is my point that I'm trying to make. At the end of the day, the state's going to come out smelling like a rose because that was just one situation. I can tell you another one where years ago, the state used to have a public works department that used to take care of all the laterals and the canals and stuff in each parish. When they did away with that, we had to start maintaining that ourselves. And when the burden came back on the taxpayers, what we had to do is we had to pass, at that time they passed a 1-cent sales tax, road tax, to be able to fund some of the road projects that we have in the parish because we couldn't afford to do it because we were maintaining our canals and everything that the burden was pushed down on us by state government. Mm-hmm. The same thing just happened lately where state government is just pushing more and more down on the local government because
hold up, not only are they doing that, Chris, they're branching out more and more government and state government. So they're really eating up a lot of sources that the local communities could do. People want to get rid of the homestead exemptions of that. They would like for all politics to be local. And I understand the argument for it. I really do. But all the mandated stuff, it's amazing. And you're right. Taxpayers are getting screwed because we got to handle everything that's being handled, number one. And we got to handle all the mandates we get. Sales tax, property taxes. I mean, you go on and on. I mean, you go, I got to get 2 new tires. I got to give $2 or $4 a tire so they can get rid of it. That's a mandate. So we get hit with mandates, man.
Right. So my point is, if the state doesn't do nothing, if they can't come to some kind of compromise or some kind of agreement where they can either, because I really believe I agree with you wholeheartedly. Our government has grown since our new governor's taken office. He's grown government twice the size of itself. This is the biggest budget that we've ever seen in the state of Louisiana, and they still asking for more money. The problem is, let me just finish saying this.
Yes, sir.
The problem is if he doesn't get what he wants, he's not a guy that can be reasoned with. What is going to happen is the burden's going to fall back on local government, and we're going to have to pick up that tax, or we're going to have to pick up by either cutting projects that we really need to have in this parish, or sooner or later we have to go back to the people over here for a sales tax, and it's just not right because enough is enough with taxes. We can't afford it anymore.
No, Chris, the other thing is the Medicaid expansion is devastating the budget. The Medicaid expansion, the fact of the matter is there's 184,000 people who ought to not be on Medicaid. It's costing us $460 million a year. And this numbers come from government numbers. And so that $462 million a year is costing us. And we can't afford it anymore. It just can't afford it anymore. I mean, sooner or later, look, businesses, and I did this when I opened my monologue, businesses are the blood, sweat of the whole state of Louisiana and this whole country. Without them, there is no government. There is no tax base. There is no wealth. So government has to go along with the business community. If the business community is thriving, they get. I don't know if you heard the story in Midland. The Midland mayor, his sales tax is up 34% in 3 or 4 months. He don't even know what to do with all the money he's got coming in. But guess why? The businesses are booming there. And that's what this state ought to be doing. But we don't focus on that. Hey, Chris, I got to go. You've been great. Appreciate the call, brother. Really do. But I got to move. One more. Monroe, Louisiana. Mr. Michael. How you doing, Michael?
How are you doing, Moon?
Doing fine, sir.
Thank you for everything you're doing. And I just wanted to give you a little tidbit. I hope the governor or one of his people are listening to this. I just want to tell you the situation from just a blue-collar peon, all right?
By the way, the governor's not listening, but he got people listening, so go ahead.
All right. Well, after the tax cuts, okay, the businesses that were put in by the Trump administration, my boss comes to me, tells me, now things are doing a little better. He says, I want to give you a raise. He gave me a raise. I went from $36,000 to making $40,000 a year. That was a nice little jump.
Nice little jump.
Do you know that half of that was cut because of the state tax increase that I got?
Yeah, Brian.
Okay, you were just talking about that, about the $300 million that they don't talk about, because a lot of people don't understand that. If they look at their paycheck, if you didn't see a jump in your income tax in certain tax brackets, that's because the state took it from you. Now, the other part says my wife is in healthcare, healthcare services.
Sure.
Self-employed. She works with children with special needs. She's self-employed, and most of the work that she does is in-house, in their homes, to help parents and stuff like that.
Sure.
She had to cut back on personnel, and she's now had to cut back on the amount of kids she's seeing, because although Jindal was not the greatest governor ever, one thing he did do is he kept Obamacare out of the state of Louisiana. Medicaid increases, there was cuts in the amount that was paid to healthcare workers or healthcare providers, all right? She's had to contract her business. This is facts. And anybody wants to call me, they can call me. I don't know if y'all see my number. You can pass it on to them.
No, we don't.
I will show them on paper. I'll show them on paper how this has not done anything for the working guy and the working gal.
No. You hit it on the head. I've been hearing them stories left and right. Medicaid expansion has been devastating financially to businesses and everything. But they had a report that came out of LSU, and it was all self-written, saying how this is economic development and this created 19,000 jobs. All that was the biggest bunch of bunk ever heard of. You heard Daniel Erspalmer when they talk about we growing in an economy. If you take out the growth from government services, our GDP's down, our jobs are down, everything's down. They want to include all that, but that means we got to keep getting money from the government to sustain that. That is not a sustainable economy. So that's why you felt what you felt. All the stories you said are true, and I'm glad you shared it. Michael, appreciate the call. Oh, the guy's right on the money because I've heard the stories. David in Leonville. David, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm honored to speak to you, Boone.
Yes, sir.
I'm dead against that wind electrical system, because all these people that are involved in that are Obama and Hillary Clinton people.
Well, I don't know about that, but I know what you're talking about. I'm curious to see what happens, because the Public Service Commission is the ones that have been doing all the investigation of this. So I'm kind of curious to see what their conclusion is.
Yes, because how can 7 cents a kilowatt hour, and I think they charge 40 cents a kilowatt hour. I have no idea what they're trying to talk about.
Well, I'm just going to tell you that's why you got a Public Service Commission. Let's see what happens, because we've had the gentleman on to talk about it a bunch. I've heard people against, for, and things of that nature, but I'm curious to see what happens. Public Service Commission is supposed to have our back on good things and bad things. So let's see what they come back and tell us.
Okay, thank you.
All right, appreciate the call. By the way, I'm getting somebody just emailed me, love the way Governor John Kennedy says. Well, the governor anybody sounds. Co-governorship didn't work. You know what I'm saying? The co-governorship didn't work, folks. It failed. It's failed bad. It's failed miserably. You can't make this stuff up, can you? You just can't.
The double booking Moon Griffon.
I'm a booker. So I tell people all the time they ought to talk to you, not me. It doesn't do no good to get.
It's like Cornelia says, I'm the handler.
That's right.
You handle those interviews, Moon.
That's right. I know.
I won't double book them for you.
All right. Well, I'm good at doing that. Anyway, 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline if you'd like to be part of the program. Let's jump gears. You've been hearing about, actually, this gentleman from SWEPCO, Mr. Brian joins us. Brian, how you doing?
I'm doing really well. How are you doing today, man?
Doing super. All right. A lot of people talking about the wind catcher and what's happening. So where are we now? I know does the Public Service Commission met on this yet? And where are we headed at with this right now?
Yeah, the initial discussion took place May 16th at the Louisiana Public Service Commission. There was about a 2-hour discussion on the wind catcher project, and at the end of the discussion, the commissioners voted to defer a decision until a future meeting.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
Well, what that meant is that they wanted to do some additional due diligence, had some questions for the Louisiana Public Service Commission staff who had recommended support for the project, and they just needed some more information in order to feel in a position to take a vote. We are on the agenda for tomorrow at 9 a.m. in Baton Rouge, and we fully expect the commissioners to make a decision on the fate of Windcatcher.
Okay, do you think the decision will be made as early as tomorrow, or you think this is something they're going to evaluate some more?
I really don't think we're going to see additional evaluation. I mean, the docket has been full of information, and there's been adequate time for each of the commissioners to meet with the staff and get fully briefed on it and the pros, any cons, that kind of thing. So I really do believe tomorrow we'll get a vote, and we're expecting hopefully a favorable vote.
Okay, let's talk about if they do vote and they vote the way you want to vote. Tell people what this is going to do, because people may have just tuned in. They may have been watching commercials, maybe not catching everything. What does this do if the Public Service Commission, and by the way, that's the people's voice. There's 5 Public Service Commissioners. What does this do, you think, for what you're trying to show us in the Windcatcher?
Well, I think the one thing that it does that's most important is it continues the momentum after we received the Arkansas Public Service Commission approval on May 8th. And then we later, May 18th, got a positive recommendation from the Texas Administrative Law Judge, which will now go before the Public Utility Commission of Texas, those commissioners, on July the 12th. So what this does is it would just add another step in a multi-approval process that we would get behind us, and then can focus on getting the final approvals in Texas and then Oklahoma. And additionally, we did get approval for the project from the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission in the last couple of weeks. So everything's positive. It's moving forward, and it's just when you are a multi-jurisdiction utility, then you have to go through multiple approvals, and this will be a big step. We need each state to vote for Windcatcher in order for it to be successful.
Okay, I want you to explain to people what Windcatcher is and what will it do.
Well, Windcatcher will be the largest single-site wind energy project in the nation. It will generate 2,000 megawatts of electricity that will be the electricity will be transmitted over a 360-mile dedicated generation tie line that moves the power from out in Cimarron and Tulsa counties in Oklahoma into the Tulsa area, where then the electrical grid that's existing will then distribute the electricity to our customers in Arkansas, Louisiana, and Texas. Also, our sister company, Public Service Company of Oklahoma, will receive power out of the project also. So this will be the largest project that we've undertaken. It's a win-win from the standpoint that with the guarantees that we as a company, American Electric Power, are providing, the customers will not lose. They will benefit, and we'll see a reduction in rates, probably on average in Louisiana about 5%.
Every state that y'all involved in has to improve it or get it approved by the Public Service Commission. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. Okay. And it's been a long process. We started this back in July, but because of the timing of the available production tax credits, we've had to move forward on an expedited review and approval schedule. And so commissions have been really good to work with us on that, and we've worked with other parties who have intervened and worked to try to reach settlements where possible and move the project forward.
Well, let us know. You said they're meeting tomorrow?
Yes, that's correct, tomorrow.
Okay, well, let us know, and let us know the outcome, so maybe we can hear back from you on Thursday. Just let us know what's going on. Because if they don't make a decision, I guess everything's still in limbo a little while longer.
It would be, and, there's still the other jurisdictions that have to weigh in and are moving forward. But I think we're going to I'm very confident that they're going to go ahead and take a vote that's going to be positive for the state and positive for our customers and save $1.3 billion over the next 25 years. So we're looking forward to that, and I will definitely get back with you and let you know the outcome, and really appreciate you allowing me to come on over the past several months and talk to the audience about a really cool project.
All right. Brian Bond, SWEPCO. All right, Brian, thanks.
Thank you, man.
We'd love to get all sides on this program. Let's jump gears now. Bill Erspalmer joins us, CEO of the Pelican Institute. Daniel, how you doing?
I'm doing great this morning. How are you?
All right, Daniel. Legislative session. I've never seen so much rhetoric from the governor and Jay Darden and the left, and it's going to be some Republicans of how the doom and gloom is coming, and they got to scare everybody to get their way. It's a bad way to run it. By the way, your last report and your last article, A Clear Choice for Louisiana, you talk about things that matter, the GDP, the economy, the worst economy in the nation. We're not calling it that. We're just being honest with what's out there.
That's exactly right. And, we've got to look at this, right? If we just are stuck in that bubble in the Capitol building, which is what I'm afraid has happened to a lot of our elected officials, all they hear about is budget gap, budget gap, budget gap. But you and I know, and your listeners know, job seekers, taxpayers, working families across the state are struggling, and they are dying to be heard. Don't raise our taxes any further. It has gotten completely out of control. Yeah,
and if you talk, the sad thing about it is the people that are calling these legislators are the people that thrive on more tax dollars. So when they're not getting called from people that don't want this, they kind of tend to go with what people are asking them to do.
Yeah, that's right. And, it's really important that our elected officials hear from all of us, and they know and see. And I hope, I talked to a couple of great legislators who are out back in their districts when they're not cooped up there in the Capitol, and they're talking to people and they're asking constituents what do they think. Mark Wright on the North Shore of New Orleans had a great piece a week or so ago. He talked to his constituents. Guess what? They said they don't want new taxes, and we hear that from lots of districts across the state. And so the governor's trying to bully folks into raising taxes, and it's time for folks to listen to the folks back home and not do it.
Let's talk a little bit about the economy and some of your pieces. I don't know if you did something on this. I know y'all mentioned that if they increase the sales tax another half cents, okay? They keep saying it's a tax cut, which is ridiculous. Anyway, you said we'll lose another 2,800 jobs, and the GDP will fall by another $173 million. How in the world does that help our economy?
It doesn't. It hurts the economy even further. Look, the rest of the country is experiencing great economic boom from the Trump tax cuts, and the fact that basically Louisiana is being left behind is really a sad state of affairs. I mean, we have seen a little bit of uptick, thank goodness, in job creation and folks looking for work. Most of that is coming out of Lake Charles, a little bit out of New Orleans. The rest of the state, Lafayette, is suffering tremendously, and it's time for us to get out of the way and let the economic growth that's happening across the country finally make its way back here to Louisiana.
One of the things I noticed, and you didn't touch upon it, if you did, I apologize, I hadn't seen it. You never talked about the $302 million that's coming out of our income that's going to the state of Louisiana. That's right. Trump gave us a tax break that would help our economy by $302 million. The state sucked it up. I mean, they sucked up money that was going to help the state to grow.
That's right. When we talk about compromise, we forget that we've already levied, without the legislature having to take a single vote, a $300 million income tax increase, as you note, on taxpayers across the state. In other states where this quirk in the tax code has caused a tax increase, you know what they've done? They've cut taxes. Yep. They've actually given that relief back to their taxpayers so that the economy can grow. Instead, we're saying, please, dear God, don't take our money. Well, it's insane.
We had already a $302 million increase in income taxes this year, and people are going to feel that. They're going to feel it because they didn't get the break from Trump, and they got a break, but that money's going right back to the state of Louisiana. I've heard people say they got a check and they had more money. The next check, it went down because of the state taxes. We already gave them $302 million, but nobody's even said thank you. Nobody's even said, and I don't think that helps the economy to stick that many more billions of dollars in the state government.
No, that's absolutely right. Look, there was this line from the governor's speech yesterday. I'm sure you heard it. Quote, our constituents should not be used as political pawns because a handful of people have decided to play a game of partisan chess with our budgeting process.
I saw that.
That is outrageous. Yep. If we talk about who has been used as political pawns, it's nursing home patients, it's our incarcerated population, it's our kids, our college kids. LSU football, everyone that's been used as a political pawn just to raise taxes. Look, the call on this special session is so clear about what the goal on this was all along. It was never about reform. It was never about compromise. It was always about raising taxes. And the special session call this time around from the governor just made that abundantly clear. And it's really disappointing. There's a lot of great things we could do to spark this economy, and the people need it. They need jobs. They need growing wages, and we're stifling that across the board, and it'll just get worse if we raise taxes.
When we get back, I'll ask you the question. The governor's bragging about the economy. He's bragging that more people are working now than ever. Of course, if you got a minimum wage job, you could say you're working. Anyway, we got to take a break. Daniel Erspalmer, my special guest, CEO of the Pelican Institute. Take a break. Be right back. All righty, Daniel Erspalmer, CEO of the Pelican Institute. Hey, Daniel, you notice nobody in the press, not even really politicians, are down there fighting, talking about the GDP and job growth and what's happening in jobs. I mean, without that, there is no tax base. And if you get rid of the tax base, and the tax base shrinks, how can government spending keep going up? And that's why we got a negative GDP now. It's really started when Edwards came in and expanded Medicaid.
Yeah, it's a real problem. I mean, we've had 2 years of GDP decline. The Bureau of Economic Analysis says we are the worst economy in the country, and it's really not all that close. And, if you look at across the board, all of the measures of economic growth are struggling. And you look at wage growth, we're far below the national average. You'll hear from the press, wage growth is up, but the vast majority of that, more than 2/3, is from government transfer payments. That's welfare payments, Medicaid, everything across the board. That's not personal income. That's government money.
But they don't, and even the governor doesn't tell people that. If you take that out, we have a negative GDP. And the money, and look, if you're going to base your economy on how much money you get from the federal government, you got a problem.
Yeah, we forget, that federal money is our money too. That's taxpayer dollars we're sending up to D.C. And look, it's not a money tree in Washington. We've got to remember that government money across the board is coming out of your pocket and mine and everybody else across the state and across the country for those federal dollars. And we are the most reliant of any state in the country on those federal tax dollars. And it's a huge problem. Those are going to go down every year, particularly with this expansion of Medicaid to able-bodied adults. That's going to become more and more expensive for a program that is literally hurting and killing people, as we've talked about before. Most people in the country have died on a Medicaid waiting list since we expanded to able-bodied adults.
They've had proposals to clamp down on this. According to Jeff Landry and some of the representatives, we could be saving $462 million if we would just clamp down on people that really shouldn't be on it. And yet the governor will not touch that. He will not let that reform go. And it's going. I don't see how the GDP changes this year. We've done nothing to allow businesses to grow. And actually, another 0.5-cent sales tax, a 1/3 cent, is going to take some more money out to GDP. And I think you said on a quarter, on 0.25, you're going to knock out another $164 million in tax revenue. So I mean, you're really heading in the wrong direction.
Yeah, we have to remember, look, tax policy has consequences, right? The goal of creating a free society that benefits everybody, creates jobs, builds opportunity for a better life for everyone means we've got to limit the impact of government on that as much as possible. And so continuing to raise taxes, we just want to make sure folks understand if you're going to vote for more taxes, that has an impact on the economy. It's just fact. It's not commentary. It's just the facts. That's what happens. Yeah. You want to ignore that, do so at your peril. But the folks back home need our elected officials to do better for us and to help grow the economy.
Yep, no doubt about it. All right, Daniel, got to go. Thanks. God bless. We'll do it again.
Thank you, sir. Good to talk to you.
All right, brother. Appreciate it. All right, more to come right after this.